but I have for a long time been a big Jalen Hurts guy. I have given that up. I have switched. I have done a real kind of character change on this, and I would actually look to move Jalen Hurts before A.J. Brown. And I understand that that is a very kind of strange admission on my part because it's the quarterbacks who make the wide receivers and not the other way around. Danny, right now, I am leaning in the direction of saying, actually, I'll say it. I think we've seen Jalen Hurts' best football already. He turns 28 this summer. I think we've already seen him at his apex as a player. He's an expensive player. He doesn't want to throw the ball over the middle. Their offense, with offensive line injuries, with Saquon Barkley not being an elite player last year or as good as the year before, we saw Hurts take a tremendous step back. And I don't think it was only the offensive coordinator. So to me, I know you can't do these things quietly, but I would actually see what I could get for Jalen Hurts this offseason if I'm Howie Roseman.
So listen, this is one of those things that sounds great on WIP and it sounds great during frenemies, but like in the real world, can you trade Jalen Hurts? Like trading a Super Bowl MVP who is 28 years old, who signs the largest contract in franchise history. I don't really have a comp off the top of my head for it, but to be clear, because I'll go down the road with you, I think A.J. Brown is a better receiver than Jalen Hurts is a quarterback, right? So I do agree that A.J. Brown is better at his premium position than Jalen Hurts is at his, and that if you do trade A.J. Brown, that is the football equivalent of shooting the messenger. Because like what he was saying was, hey, we need to be better at passing the ball. And like this is ultimately gonna stop us from winning if we cannot produce more on offense. So like I think A.J. Brown was a truth teller, even if over the last couple of years he has done it in ways that you would not love in terms of chemistry and generating good vibes for your football team. But is there any way, like in reality, that you could see Philly actually doing it? Because it seems too impractical to me.
Well, I don't know about impractical. You're right. There's really no precedent for it. But we're talking about Howie Roseman, who is, I think, by nature, the most aggressive general manager in the NFL. I think he tends to do bold things. Yeah. I don't think he's a guy who rests on his laurels and just kind of sees what's going to happen. If there's anybody that would break the mold and do something outside of the box, I think it's him. I think the question becomes, even though we hear all the time about how there's 5 to 10 teams that always need a quarterback, would somebody want to take his contract on? You know, that like how in demand is Jalen Hurts? Because look, I don't think they're going to win another Super Bowl with him. I just don't. I think we saw last year the biggest, most puzzling thing about the Eagles offense, in addition to how the middle of the field is just off limits, his rushing numbers went down incredibly. Lowest since his rookie year, 421 rushing yards, only 8 rushing touchdowns. If you remove more of the dual part of his game, I think he turns into a very average quarterback. So A.J. Brown is probably going to be the guy that gets moved, but I don't really see how that fixes things at all for the Philly offense. You take away a source of controversy and angst and stress like Jason Kelce was talking about, but you're also getting rid of a guy that's probably at worst a top 10, top 15 wide receiver. And I don't see how that magically makes your quarterback now freed up and now he's more relaxed because he doesn't have a guy on the sideline telling him, throw me the ball. Danny, I think there's a chance. I'll make this comparison too. After Joe Flacco signed that contract following that magical run with the Ravens in 2012, he won only one more playoff game with Baltimore, but they felt like they had to pay him, which I think is the same exact situation that we have right now unfolding with the Eagles.
Yeah,
Wow. Just wow. Okay. There is an enormous amount of material to process here, and I want to begin by addressing something fundamental. When I first started creating content and formulating sports opinions, I experienced this genuine internal conflict about whether I needed to adopt a particular style to gain traction. I distinctly remember questioning if I had to be excessively aggressive to capture attention. Did I need to be the loudest voice in the room? Should I become the person who liberally uses profanity for emphasis? Maybe I needed to be the comedic relief, Or perhaps the individual proposing absolutely outrageous scenarios, suggesting that a franchise should trade their franchise quarterback because he'll apparently never achieve championship success again. These massive, sweeping, bombastic declarations filled with expletives and theatrical humor and all that accompanying spectacle. Maybe I should literally tear my shirt off for dramatic effect? This mindset emerged from recognizing the sheer scale of the internet, obviously. YouTube's reach is immense. It prompted this anxious line of thinking. Why would anyone possibly care about what I have to say amid all this noise? And that anxiety stemmed from recognizing that approach fundamentally contradicts what I actually want to accomplish. That's not my authentic desire. What I genuinely want is to facilitate authentic dialogue. I emphasize this constantly. I want substantive conversations, and I find myself stressing that priority significantly more during the off-season period. I suppose every year I simply forget what the off-season atmosphere actually entails. It hit me pretty directly, like an unexpected wake-up call, while listening to certain perspectives being presented, some of the discussions taking place. I found myself thinking, oh, that's right, the off-season brings absolute madness. Because I become so completely immersed in regular season action, so thoroughly focused, that I genuinely attempt to identify discussions carrying real significance. Certainly narratives persist, drama unfolds, subtle rumors circulate occasionally. That element remains present. That aspect provides entertainment. You cannot exclusively concentrate on technical analysis and schematic breakdowns. I do make concerted efforts to address conversations that ultimately carry genuine weight, the discussions people authentically want to engage with. During the off-season, however, you almost have to actively search for meaningful content, because every few seconds you encounter remarkably irrational statements. And I genuinely feel an obligation to you, the audience, to identify appropriate discussions worth having, to determine what genuinely merits attention, while also recognizing conversations that might actually prove accurate, like potential star player trade scenarios. I'm not going to pursue every speculative rumor that emerges, but when something represents a legitimate possibility, I want to explore it, right? I genuinely believed there was realistic potential for Aaron Rodgers landing with the Minnesota Vikings. Many people dismiss that as merely chasing engagement metrics. And my response is no. I genuinely consider that a valid discussion topic. So, I hadn't actually watched this particular video, but I encountered the headline suggesting the Eagles must prioritize trading Jalen Hurts before considering moving A.J. Brown. And I had to determine whether this represented content worth addressing. The conclusion was absolutely yes. And the reality exceeded my initial expectations, that's certain. But the affirmative decision stemmed from observing how these conversations specifically develop around Jalen Hurts. The irrationality reaches remarkable levels. First and foremost, the fundamental premise is factually incorrect because the discussion referenced Joe Flacco's situation following his Super Bowl victory and subsequent contract extension. Do you possess even basic comprehension of what you're discussing? Jalen Hurts received his contract extension after leading his team to the Super Bowl appearance in 2022, delivering an exceptional performance in that championship game, then returning to another Super Bowl, ultimately winning it, and earning Super Bowl MVP honors. What exactly are you referencing here? That foundational element is demonstrably wrong, not to mention the assertion that Jalen Hurts experienced this significant regression. He operated behind an offensive line that performed poorly, received virtually no ground game support, and worked with an offensive coordinator who struggled significantly. Yet he still ranked among the top 9 quarterbacks league-wide with 25 touchdown passes against merely 6 interceptions. That touchdown-to-interception ratio placed him among the NFL's elite. And this occurred despite him missing a game, by the way. When I previously compiled comprehensive statistical analysis, I'd need to thoroughly research current numbers again. I'm not necessarily inclined to do that right now. Actually, you know what? Perhaps I will, because I'm thoroughly exhausted by this persistent nonsense. Just give me a moment to collect these figures. We're discussing Jalen Hurts during this past season, where supposedly he took a significant step backward. Now, these statistics reflect performance up through approximately week 16. They might have shifted marginally because he didn't participate in that final week, and numerous other quarterbacks inflated their statistics during essentially meaningless contests, right? Jared Goff facing Chicago, Dak Prescott against whoever they played, probably the Giants, I assume, though I don't precisely recall. It's ultimately irrelevant. The crucial point is that these numbers all remain relatively consistent, particularly when examining games carrying actual significance. Pass rating, top 10. Passing touchdowns, top 9. Interception rate, lowest in the league. Average depth of target, top 9. Total passing yards, top 10. Total touchdowns, top 6. Rushing yards, top 6. Rushing touchdowns, top 4. Rushing first downs, top 2. Yards after contact, top 8. Scramble yards, top 9. Designed runs, top 2. Deep ball passing touchdowns, top 5. Deep ball yards, top 6. Deep ball average depth of target, top 5. Deep ball passer rating, top 5. Deep ball first downs, top 10. Touchdowns under pressure, top 10. PFF rating under pressure, top 6. Adjusted completion percentage under pressure, top 6. Passer rating when blitzed, not merely under pressure, but specifically when facing blitz packages, top 9. Touchdowns in a clean pocket, top 8. Touchdown to interception ratio in a clean pocket, top 4. Passer rating in a clean pocket, top 8. Now, regarding receiver support measured by yards after catch, he ranked 22nd. Yards after catch per completion, 3.7. That represents a substantial collection of top 10, top 5, top 3, top 2 rankings across numerous categories. So what exactly are we discussing here? This represents regression while operating behind an offensive line that underperformed significantly, with essentially minimal rushing support. He experienced among the worst ground game assistants in the entire NFL, literally among the league's bottom tier in terms of run support. It was essentially him carrying the offense, placing the Philadelphia Eagles alongside the Las Vegas Raiders in that undesirable category. And you want to characterize this as a step backward this season? The criticism that he refuses to throw to the middle of the field? No, that's simply inaccurate. That doesn't reflect reality. Nobody was making that assertion previously. The irrationality reaches remarkable levels. It's genuinely astonishing. Then consider how detached from reality some perspectives become regarding compensation. Jalen Hurts is 28 years old. His average annual value places him within range of numerous comparable quarterbacks at approximately $51 million. Lamar Jackson averages $52 million, and that figure will likely increase. Justin Herbert, $52 million. Jared Goff, $53 million. Brock Purdy, $53 million. Tua Tagovailoa, $53 million. Joe Burrow, $55 million. Josh Allen, $55 million. Jordan Love, $55 million. Trevor Lawrence, $55 million. Dak Prescott, $60 million. What exactly is the argument here? Kyler Murray receives approximately $46 million. Deshaun Watson, $46 million. Patrick Mahomes' situation involves contract restructuring, so I'm uncertain about the current structure there. Matthew Stafford represents an outlier given his career stage essentially approaching retirement, and Sam Darnold similarly stands apart. Everyone else either hasn't secured significant extensions or remains on rookie deals like Caleb Williams and Drake May, which obviously don't factor into veteran compensation discussions. Any quarterback holding an actual veteran contract follows this pattern. Jalen Hurts genuinely represents exceptional value among relevant quarterbacks. The ones who truly stand out as unusual deals, aside from Matthew Stafford's very specific circumstances acknowledging his career timeline, and Sam Darnold's particular situation. Among everyone else simply signing standard veteran extensions, Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts emerge as notable bargains. And again, Mahomes' contract appeared problematic initially, but underwent restructuring. So I'm uncertain about its practical implications currently. I genuinely cannot comprehend what argument is being advanced here. What exactly do critics want? Would any team eagerly acquire Jalen Hurts' contract? What's the desired outcome? I fail to understand. What compensation level would satisfy detractors? Do you expect him to accept payment comparable to Justin Fields or Baker Mayfield? You want him signing a $100 million contract like Baker Mayfield received? Is that the expectation? Well, here's reality. Jalen Hurts has delivered 2 of the most exceptional Super Bowl performances in league history and earned Super Bowl MVP honors. His value exceeds Baker Mayfield's. I apologize for delivering that news. Sorry to inform you that his worth surpasses Justin Fields and Daniel Jones as well. I recognize that disappoints you. I genuinely cannot comprehend this perspective. Should he accept compensation comparable to Geno Smith? Because again, Matthew Stafford represents an outlier situation, and he's essentially the only truly relevant quarterback holding what might be considered a team-friendly veteran deal. And believe me, if Matthew Stafford were 28 years old, he wouldn't be signing an $80 million contract extension. Everyone understands that reality. That's genuinely where exceptional value exists in the NFL. Not even the Sam Darnold situation represents comparable value. It's really the Matthew Stafford contract that stands out. But I truly don't understand this perspective. Do you expect him to accept rookie-scale compensation? You want him earning approximately $9 million like Bryce Young or Jaden Daniels? Consider rookie contracts for top draft selections. Those players receive substantial compensation immediately. $37 million with full guarantees represents legitimate, life-changing money immediately upon entering the league. That's quite significant. Everyone tends to comment about Anthony Richardson with the Colts, but he secured $33 million regardless. If he never plays another NFL down, he's earned more money than I'll ever see, that's certain. But interestingly, Bo Nix's contract now sits at $18 million. Even Aiden O'Connell receives $12 million. So I genuinely want to understand what compensation level critics believe Jalen Hurts should accept. I'd sincerely appreciate that clarification. Then the question arises, which teams would want him? How about the New York Jets, the Indianapolis Colts, the Pittsburgh Steelers? If Jalen Hurts served as quarterback for the Houston Texans, do you believe their chances of defeating the Patriots increase significantly? Yes, I absolutely think so. Yes, I do. If Bo Nix couldn't perform, who would you prefer, Jarrett Stidham or Jalen Hurts? Would last year's Raiders rather have Geno Smith or Jalen Hurts? Would you rather develop Shedeur Sanders or acquire Jalen Hurts? I genuinely cannot move past this discussion. It's remarkably irrational, honestly. It truly is. Let's examine cap implications. Dak Prescott carries cap numbers of $74 million in 2026, $68 million in 2027, $78 million in 2028. Jalen Hurts carries $31 million in 2026, $42 million in 2027, $47 million in 2028. In 2026, he represents 10.1% of the salary cap. 2027, 12.9% of the cap. 2028, 13.5% of the cap. That represents exceptional team-building value. That's literally the organizational goal you hope to achieve with quarterback compensation. That's the ideal scenario you're striving for. Dak Prescott consumes 22.5%, 20.9%, and 22.3% respectively during those same years. Brock Purdy represents excellent value in 2026 at $24 million, increasing to $30 million in 2027, then $57 million in 2028, $72.5 million in 2029, and $64.5 million in 2030. Somehow, Jalen Hurts earning between $31 and $47 million during that window represents problematic compensation? I genuinely cannot comprehend this logic. Do you recognize the strategic brilliance of the Philadelphia Eagles front office? The cap percentages progress: 2.6, 5.2, 7.5, 10.1, 12.9, 13.5. That's masterful contract structuring. What alternative approach would critics prefer? What would satisfy detractors? Those represent my personal reflections on this topic. I'm genuinely eager to hear your perspectives. What are your thoughts regarding this proposition of trading Jalen Hurts? Beyond that suggestion, I'm uncertain what direction the conversation even takes. I suppose it doesn't ultimately matter, according to certain voices. Share your perspectives with me. I personally review every comment received. Whether our viewpoints align or diverge, either way, let's generate meaningful dialogue. Let's engage in respectful debate, but ultimately, let's ensure we're enjoying ourselves. Please consider subscribing. We're cultivating an exceptional community here, and genuinely welcoming you as part of it would be fantastic. My objective is creating something we all authentically feel connected to, something we're genuinely enthusiastic about participating in. I believe we're making substantial progress toward achieving that goal. Remember to give this video a thumbs up, as it genuinely enhances visibility and supports algorithmic reach. Thank you sincerely for your time. I'll connect with you next time.